to look at displacement as a fundamental element of the loss and damage conversation. We know that when people are displaced, they lose a lot of what makes their life, what makes their identity, what makes their community. They lose their sense of place, they lose access to their ancestral land, they lose access to their culture, their community disgregates. Those things need to be part of the loss and damage conversation. The loss and damage conversation needs also to be focused on the fact that people are forced to move out of their homes, out of their islands, out of their countries, and it also needs to focus on the effects that that has on their families, on their communities. And we are not very good at capturing those elements. We're not very good at knowing how much people have lost in terms of economic and non-economic assets over the time of they've been displaced. Maybe displacement lasts for 2 years, for 5 years, for 10 years. We don't know what's happening to people. We don't know what they lose throughout that period. So this is very much a matter of understanding indirect non-economic losses and factoring them into this the assessment and factoring them into the financial and non-financial measures that will be taken to address loss and damage. It is very easy to look to see what effects displacement can have on people. It is very difficult to quantify because we don't have systematic data collection on displacement and its duration and its impacts. A lot of this happens, especially in the context of slow onset events that affect a lot of the islands in the Pacific. It happens in a very diluted way. So it's very difficult to understand who is displaced. It's very difficult to follow their movements. And therefore it's a quantification that's completely absent from our loss database and our ability to actually prove it quantitatively. But we do know this happens. There is evidence from all over the world of the impacts of displacement on the people that are moving, on their host communities, on their societies, and we need to be able to factor this into the discussion. The losses and damages that are linked with moving, and especially the non-economic impacts of moving, they are only really known to the people that are moving. And unless those voices are heard, we will never know what people are actually losing when they move. And the solutions also need to be coming from the people, because what can be replaced, what cannot be replaced, how it should be compensated, how people have to cope with losses that cannot be compensated at all, that is something that only the people that have been affected by climate and have been displaced by climate can say. So I think having those perspectives is more fundamental today for the negotiation than perhaps it has ever been.